only to have a clean sweep in all 31 seasons of The Ultimate Fighter. So let's go, because After TUF starts right now. Welcome to After TUF. I'm Dean Thomas, fresh off of International Fight Week. Shout out to Robbie Lawler retiring on such a great career. But this show is all about The Ultimate Fighter, and Team Chandler is kicking butt. So far this season, we've seen Conor come through the TUF house with a few times. He was hanging out with his team. He got his hair cut, poured up some proper 12, and we haven't seen Team Chandler get to hang out with their coach. That's because that scene was cut out from the very first episode. But lucky for you, Dana owes me some money from a dice game from back in the day, and to pay off some of his debt, we have this exclusive. You won't see this footage anywhere else with Team Chandler chilling.
Boys, how are we? Oh yeah, I got a poker table over there.
I didn't even know that was in that room.
Now that we've got our teams picked, we got our first matchups, got a couple days of training. Wanted to bring the guys over. How was it whenever you got home?
The youngest guys in the house talk the most.
Oh, guaranteed.
You know?
Guaranteed,
Like they just constantly.
man. These guys are cooped up in that Ultimate Fighter house, so anything to get them out of the house, even for just a couple hours, and just hang out with them as friends. Hey, when did y'all eat last?
Jason, 10 minutes ago.
I'll eat
That's all right.
in 30 minutes. I'll be
You're
hungry,
fine,
so
you're
we're good.
fine. Give them some steaks if they could have it. Grill out, hang out, watch the fights together. I love that your guys' weights are good. Yeah. You know? Keeping it under control so you don't have to really mess with it. Conor's Conor. Conor, there is no first day with Conor. Conor is just like, I am who I am, and he'll do what I say, and blah, blah, blah. You know what you're gonna get with me. It doesn't mean it's the best. It doesn't mean I can't do things better, but you know what you're gonna get with me. I demand a lot out of you guys. I'm gonna demand a lot out of myself, and we just go on this ride together.
We went to Coach Chandler's to watch the fights. It was good. They cooked the steaks and had sweet potatoes and, you know, all hanging out with the coaches, and as a team, we're just all trying to come together now as, you know, this new team that we are and do the best that we can.
I told my whole family, like, bro, I hope I get Michael Chandler. God, I hope I get
Come
Chandler.
on now.
I swear to God I did.
Dude, well, I appreciate that. On the mats, I'm, you know, the veteran fighter who's got a lot more experience, a lot more wisdom and whatnot. But here, I just want to be a friend. You know, I want to be like a big brother to these guys. And we're a family now, and we're going to be a family for the rest of our lives. So, starting to build that foundation right now, and I can't wait for these guys to fight.
My first loss was straight because of underestimating the guy. And I ain't never done that again, ever. I don't care if your record's I'm taking it like you're the best fighter in the world.
That's what really helped me, man, because I wanted to be perfect for so long. I wanted to chase Anderson Silva and chase Joe, you know, these guys, right? And it's almost impossible. And the collateral damage of trying to do that mentally and physically and spiritually is just, it breaks you.
Chandler opened up about something, like a part of his journey, you know? It felt good to hear somebody at the top of the game. Just to hear him explain his struggles, explain the things that he went through. It just felt reassuring. You know, sometimes you do have setbacks. Sometimes, you know, the best fighters in the world do look at themselves and question themselves. I felt like I really needed to hear that and to reassure myself a little more than what I already been feeling.
And the craziest thing is, I can tell you right now, I'm standing right here because of a loss. When I lost to Patricio Pitbull, if I had not lost that fight, I still would have been stuck in my contract. I wouldn't have been able to test free agency, wouldn't have been able to come over right when Khabib was retiring, right whenever I was gonna come in, get the title shot and become who I am standing here.
Yeah.
And it was literally probably the greatest thing that's happened in my entire career.
It was a blast, man. We went over there, start watching the fights. Everybody's talking, everybody's laughing, and got to know our coaches, got to realize, you know, exactly who they are as people, and we were living on cloud 9. Team McGregor that had to watch the fights here in the house, didn't get to go out. So I believe that I got chosen for the right team, and I absolutely love it.
All you can control is your preparation.
That's it.
You know, control the preparation. If you do things right, you leave no stone unturned, you show up on fight night, you know, you let it go and you leave it up to chance.
Finally, we get to see Chandler hanging out with the guys. Now, this was early in the season and an important moment for Chandler to gain the trust of his team and also get to know some of them guys on a personal level. And I loved when Mike shared the story about getting to this point of his career because of a loss. What better way to get the respect of your team than by sharing that? Because all those guys are there because of losses. All right, episode 7 did not disappoint. We saw alligators and catfish and a walk out to the octagon in the oldest, dustiest, most busted up boots on earth. And it all ended in a nasty triangle choke. Even though we know Team McGregor laid another egg, let's take a look at those scorecards. After 7 episodes, we're more than halfway through the season, and Team Chandler has the competition locked up like R. Kelly. That's 7 straight wins for his team of UFC veterans and 0 for Team McGregor. It is time for that mic drop with Coach Iron Michael Chandler. Coach, after racking up that 7th straight win, you got to be feeling better than Paulo Costa after passing a drug test. But listen, it was a surprise to me too.
Right. Hey, can you believe it, man? I mean, 7-0 Team Chandler. Listen, I knew what we were doing on the show as we were filming was working and was going to work. But man, I knew we were going to do well. I never quite knew that we were might just run the whole daggum table. We'll see. So now, the question now becomes, everyone keeps saying, "Hey, did you get a clean sweep? Did you get a clean sweep?" We got one more fight left, so it remains to be seen. But what an episode! What a fight! What a wild ride, man!
I mean, listen, this very well could be an all-Team Chandler semifinals. And, I mean, I don't want to put you out there, but what can you tell us about that last fight?
I can tell you it's a good one. I can tell you, man, I love every single one of my guys. And Hunter Azure, he is the last up. And Rico DeShulo is a tough guy as well. So, man, it's a lot of pressure for both guys. It's a lot of pressure. If you're Rico, are you going to get the first win? If you're Hunter, are you going to be the guy who can cap off the clean sweep for Team Chandler? But y'all got to wait and see till next week, and I'll be sitting right here talking to your beautiful self in about 7 days' time.
I feel you now. At this point, things are not looking good for the other team, and you're pretty vocal about that. You were saying things to them like, I'm sorry you were on his team. I mean, that was cold-blooded. Did you feel like you were connecting with members from that team?
Yeah, it was a little cold-blooded, and going back and watching it, I think, man, that was a little bit of a dig. But also, I've played this out in my head a couple times because people have said, hey, prospects versus vets. Of course the veterans were going to win, blah, blah, blah. But I think it had a lot to do with coaching. I think things might have been a little bit differently had I been coaching those guys, possibly. And this is just a possibility, you never quite know. I did connect with those guys, especially once they became not a threat anymore. Once they lost to my guys on Team Chandler, I got to spend a little bit of time with them. They were a little bit more vocal and willing to say, hey, listen, I'm not in the competition anymore. Hey, I want to ask you a question about this, ask you a question about that. Hey, can we come train with you? So it was good, man. And every single one of those guys had the best opportunity of their life. And I was just a vessel to be there to connect with guys. And yeah, it was a little cold-blooded, but we also he smushed my face, Dean. He smushed my face. What was I supposed to do?
I know, man. You did the right thing. Now, before this season kicked off, you came right here on the ESPN campus and sat down with our producer, Air, and she asked you for the predictions on how you thought this season was going to go. And here's what you said.
Of the 14 fights, we're gonna win 11 of them. So 3/4 at least. Ultimately, I want to win every single one of them, but 11 of the 14 easily.
Now, right off the bat, let me get them winning lotto numbers because my man is hot right now. Yeah, so man, you predicted that.
Yeah. I mean, I was definitely just confident, and I think it was blind confidence. I think it was definitely a little bit of blind confidence. obviously. But I knew my team was going to be able to go out there and get after it, and I knew we were going to be able to do well. I was going to put together a phenomenal coaching staff, and I was going to be able to capture the hearts and minds of these guys just for that short period of time. It's not about the punches, kicks, knees, and elbows. It's about the heart of the man. It's about the mind of the man. And ultimately, it's about them going out there and believing in themselves, and I knew I was going to be able to do that.
So Landon said that you guys trained at the same gym down in Florida. He seems pretty salty about the fact that he offered to be a training partner for you when you was fighting Dustin Poirier, but he says that you wouldn't spar him. Is he saying that you're afraid of him, and why is he so salty?
Hey, that's definitely an accurate statement. Landon and I don't train a lot. You know this, Dean. The older you get in the sport, you got to be picky with the guys that you train with. Not that Landon's not the guy that I would train with if I maybe would have given him more of a chance to get to know him better. It's a big team that we got there down in South Florida, man. It's a big team, a lot of guys, a lot of revolving doors of certain guys coming in, and a good core group of guys that I've been with now for the last 6 years or so. I think when Landon said it, I think the producers tried to cut it as if he was taking it as a dig at me. I don't think Landon meant it that way. I sure hope he didn't. But ultimately, yeah, I don't train with him a ton because, as you became more and more of a veteran of the sport, you got to pick and choose the right guys, the guys that are going to get you to the fight night healthy.
You're right. You can't be going with them young guys trying to hurt you. Now let's get to a question from one of the viewers, and this one is from Phoenix Wilson 77. They asked, how hard was it for you to game plan for everyone on TUF?
It was definitely a little bit tough. I think I approached each one of my guys, because I will say each one of my guys was very solid. They at least had a very solid set of skills that we just had to fine tune and then also polish up in a couple different areas. But yeah, going into the first 8 matchups, you had maybe 4 or 5 days before the first fights, and then maybe 8 days total before the second fight. So you don't have a lot of time. You saw with Brad Katona asking about, watching film and all that kind of stuff. That was his opinion. This is when I should be watching film. This is why, blah, blah, blah. And I agreed with that. But also, we had to focus on the first 4 guys the first week, second 4 guys the second week. And really, cage control, offense and defense, ground control, offense and defense, win more minutes in that 10-minute fight than the other team was going to. Don't focus so much on the striking, hit some pads, do a little movement. But these fights were going to be won in the grappling and cage exchanges. And as you can see, here we are 7-0, baby.
All right, now let's take a look at next week's matchup, because it will determine if your team can be the very first team to get a clean sweep in TUF history. It's your number 1 bantamweight versus their number 4 bantamweight. Again, we know we can't get you can't tell too much, but I'm trying to squeeze this out of you as much as I can, because next week is an exciting week, and I want to know what's going on.
It's tough, like you said. As you guys kind of saw at the very end of this last episode, on the next episode of The Ultimate Fighter, you see a couple clips, man. Rico is a very talented guy. Hunter is a very talented guy. There's some punches being landed. There's some punches being thrown, a little bit of blood involved. It was a very, very good fight. And I'll just leave it at that. I think it was one of the better fights of the season. But ultimately, I'm feeling really good about where we're at right now, and I can't wait for next week.
All right. Now I got to ask you, because you just tweeted this out. Are we getting a Christmas gift?
I don't know. It depends on if you've been a good little boy or not, Dean. I don't know. Are you on the nice list or the naughty list?
You already know I'm on the naughty list. I'm on the naughty list.
Exactly. So, I don't know. We'll have to see. Obviously we saw Conor tweet out a little Santa Claus the other day. I tweeted out a little Christmas tree. I don't know. Maybe there's some talks being had. I just don't know. I can't believe you're on the naughty list, man. I wish we could get you over to the good list side, buddy.
Well, you should have known I was on the naughty list. But before you go,
exactly.
You did not tell me that you were fighting this week. You ain't slick, Michael Chandler. You did not tell me that you were fighting this weekend. I see what you did with the hair. You got the little. You don't think that looks like you?
It does, absolutely. And I've seen that picture going
Look.
around, and people.
You got the little hair like the guy from the Bee Gees, and then now you think you slick.
Yeah.
You gonna fight next weekend? This weekend, what's going on?
Hey, I know, man. I've seen that. I've seen so many comparisons online, and it's absolutely hilarious every single time. And hey, man, when you're sitting around waiting for Conor, you might just have to grow your hair out, put some hair extensions in, and sneak on a card under the radar. Get in, collect your paycheck, knock off a little bit of ring rust, and get ready for Conor whenever he decides to come back.
Well, that's awesome, man. And if you ever need braids, I got a girl. She bad. I'll hook you up. But thanks, Mike. We appreciate you coming on the show. Can't wait till next week. Can't wait to see next week's episode. Can't wait to catch up.
Thanks, Dean. I'll see you at the top.
All right, let's check out another bonus clip. This is Jason and Coach Chandler giving us a little insight about cutting weight and leading up to his fight with Landon.
Landon looks like he said he was 65 this morning, but you can tell like he's hungry and hating life right now.
Yeah, it's a long 24 hours.
Yeah.
I mean, that's still under almost 10 pounds.
Yeah. He was at 71 like a few days ago, 4 or 5 days ago.
Yeah, man, it's a good advantage to not have to cut much weight, man. It's a great advantage.
Down there.
Yeah, dude. Because like here this morning, while you were just focused on the fight and just focused on moving and just focused on what you're gonna do to him, he's focused on coming here and I'm here to lose weight. I'm not here to get yeah.
I'm hungry.
Yeah. That's the heartbeat.
Like I'm still gonna drink a gallon of water today.
Dang, bro, I like that.
Like, that's what I've been doing every day, drink a gallon, and then I wake up 160, 161.
Oh yeah.
Because we tend to link size with fighting, fighters tend to want to have the size advantage. And it's such an easy and universally accepted excuse. And I'm not a big fan of that. Jason Knight 100% got it right. The less stress you have going into a fight, the better. I'll take being healthy and strong, even if it means being slightly smaller over being a bigger, more drained fighter. And that's coming from me, a dude who's been known to double fist hot dogs straight out the fridge. Hey, don't judge me. Before we bring in this episode's winner, here's a quick recap of Jason's work finishing Landon in under 1 minute of the very first round.
Keep the toes out of the cage.
There it is, baby.
Get your elbow in there.
Bring the hand out.
Stop. Good job.
Should have went for that takedown, boy. Good work. Good job. Good work.
Jason starts working kind of the rubber guard, gets his legs high, kind of almost goes for an armbar and completely switches to one of the most beautiful and seamless triangle chokes that I've ever seen.
He didn't like that right hand, did he?
Winner by submission. Red corner.
He want no part of that standing, boy.
After securing the 7th win in a row for Team Chandler, let's welcome in Jason the Kid Knight. Jason, my brother, how you living?
I'm doing good. How you doing, boss?
Couldn't be any better. Now, I used to see you and your crew at all the shows back in the day, and every time I saw y'all would invite me to go mudding. Does the offer still stand?
Always, brother, always. We love going mud riding, and you're always more than welcome to come.
All right, now, before this episode, we saw you hanging out with Landon in the jacuzzi. Y'all was chilling, and they kept saying things like, keep your enemies close. Was this any part of your game plan?
Not really, man. Honestly, I knew that I had a job to take care of. It was just business for me. You know, I had no kind of animosity towards the kid or anything like that. You know, he just happened to be the man who drew my name, and he was getting the business regardless of whether we were friends or enemies or whatever, you know.
Now, Jason, we know what happens in training, and it seems like it always happens at the worst time, getting cut. And you got cut basically right before this fight. Was there any doubt in your mind that you'd be fighting Landon?
For for about 5 minutes, I was kind of worried that they wasn't going to let me fight. But when I got back in there and I talked to Dave, I knew that we were going to be good to go because he seemed really cool and he seemed like, he kind of understood that stuff like this happens. And, the way I looked at it is, he had to land some punches on that eye to actually be able to make that cut bleed.
All right, this episode alone, these dudes held you in high regard. They called you a scary dog, a tough guy, a savage, the most experienced guy in the house, a warrior, too dang scary, too violent, a bat out of hell, the most tenacious guy on the show, and the guy you don't want to draw in a competition. Even Dana thought that you were one of the favorites to win. Come on, man, you had to feel good about that. How'd that make you feel?
It was nice, honestly, I wasn't expecting to fight at 155. I've always fought at 145 at featherweight, and whenever I got there and I found out that it was either 135 or 155, there's no way I could ever make 135. I don't really have a hard time making 145, but I like to eat. I like to eat whatever I want. And if I had to make 135, I would have to go on some kind of a diet, and that's just not in the cards for me. So being, talked about as one of the better fighters in the house, even though most of these guys are 10, 15 pounds heavier than me, it was a nice feeling just to know that, I was respected that well, I guess you could say.
Well, we know that you like to eat. Something tells me that you've eaten possum kneecap soup before. But before we get into that, we have a short clip of your coaches talking about you after the teams were picked. Now, let's take a look at what they said.
Jason Knight was a scary, scary dude, man.
Sure is, man. He don't back down for nothing. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, just scary dude for these guys. Nobody on that team wants to fight him.
No.
So I want to be very strategic on who we.
But I mean,
because it's 2 rounds, dude. And he's gonna throw 3,000 punches in
the guys we have, like
minutes.
they're all like that.
Jason, what's it like hearing your coaches say that, and what's it like learning from Michael Chandler?
Man, it's cool that they had that respect for me before they even knew me. I wound up, I got really close with Chandler, Jason Strout, Ryan Bader, Sean Soriano. I liked everybody on the show. Robert Drysdale, man, they were all great, great coaches, and it was amazing learning from every one of them. Chandler, man, was unreal how down to earth he was. He was one of the coolest guys I've ever met, and just a good old country boy like me. And it was kind of surprising, to be honest. I didn't think that he would be nearly as awesome as he was, but I'm so glad I got picked for that team.
I tell you what, one of my favorite parts of the episode was watching you walk out in them combat boots. My man was stomping. I can't even believe they let you have them in the house. Look at them things.
Hey, that's my fight boots. That's my lucky boots. I've had those kids. I've had those boots longer than my kids have been alive. I got 2 kids that are 7 and 8 years old, and I got that pair of boots right around the time that I had my little girl. So they've been through hell and high water and everything else with me. I used to always use them for work and everything else, and they were always my walkout boots. But, now that they're getting a little up there in age, they're starting to fall apart on me. Those are just my fight boots these days.
Well, promise me you will never let them things go. They seem to have very much sentimental value. Now, earlier in the episode, you talked about doing a bit in jail. How much did being in that house actually remind you of being locked up in jail?
Man, it was a lot better than jail, to be honest with you. We got to eat as we wanted, whatever we wanted, stuff like that. But it was a little different for sure, man. Having to deal with 16 guys all the time. The worst part about that was just that at least half of them were just straight slobs, man. They never wanted to clean up after themselves. And if they did clean up, they called washing the dishes cleaning up, and that's not very hard to do when you have a dishwasher. All you got to do is rinse them off, load them in the dishwasher. But then, they got meat stains all over the counters and, leftover food laying around. plates with food still on it and stuff like that. And that was the hardest part for me, is just dealing with the sloppy nastiness,
I feel you. I remember being on his season and just remembering how dirty being with 15 other guys can be. But you're from a small town in Mississippi. And listen, I'm a big fan of your twang and the way you talk. But I got to tell you that you're so damn country, my man, that they had to use subtitles throughout the episode.
Hey, I understand it. Whenever I try to talk text to my phone don't even understand me. So, that's just what it is. I'm country as they come, and I'm proud of it.
All right, Jason, well, we appreciate you coming on. It was a tremendous fight. I love the triangle from the armbar. Can't wait to see what happens later on in the rest of the season. You are the man. I hope we get to talk again soon.
All right, brother. You have a good one. Thanks for having me on the show.
And that was Jason Knight. Now, all right, we've already established Michael Chandler's predictions this season, and they're on point. But let's just say he and Jason knew exactly how the fight would end. Let's take a look at it.
Yeah, if stand-up ain't going how I want it to, I'm taking his ass down and finishing him.
Bro, you take him down, you take his back, put in that body triangle, bro. That's a problem. That's a big problem for all these guys.
It is time for the move of the fight. Let's check out this beautiful finish from Jason Knight. A fantastic triangle that he sets up from the armbar. Listen, you've heard me talk about the closed guard being dead in MMA, but the open guard is very much alive, and Jason Knight just proved it. What a beautiful finish from Jason Knight. All right, now I'm going to show you guys exactly how he did it, and I got my boy Kyle here to help me with it. All right, so Jason Knight, he first swung his hips around to get the arm bar. Now this arm right here is in danger. Landon pulled his arm out. After he pulled his arm out, Jason swung his leg to the other side of the head, moved his hips to the opposite side, secured the triangle, and put it on. Ooh, you ever been choked like that before?
No, sir.
Don't worry about it. All right, now we got another bonus clip for you to check out. Have fun.
I feel like, my body, I'm in good enough shape. Like, if I did nothing else until the fight, I would still be good.
Oh, yeah.
I still want to move and get past.
A little bit of movement in the morning and sweat it all out. You got baths, saunas. Might hop in the sauna tomorrow too. It'd be nice.
It's gonna be nice. Listening to the music on your phone while we're in there.
I know, right?
That's what I'm ready for.
Exactly, right?
We got 14 more days of this.
I know, right?
It's going back quick, that man. That's part.
Yeah, some days it's slow, some days it's fast.
Yeah.
Some days you're like, dang, man, we're almost out of here, man. I'm gonna miss you guys.
Yeah. I'm gonna miss them, but not nearly as much as I miss being out.
Exactly, right?
I like the bond that we've created, of this short amount of time.
Yeah,
I feel like I'll with Rose for the rest of my life.
Yeah, dude, it's cool, man. You guys have done a good job of just keeping it cool and realizing that y'all are in the same position, helping each other out, freaking trying to enjoy it, soak it all in.
I told Rose, I was like, look, bro, even whenever it's time for us to fight each other, we don't switch up, we're still friends.
Oh yeah.
I said, you ain't gonna be mean mugging me or none of that.
You don't remember no more of that. We said no more of that buddy at the house.
That's it. That's how he is. You gotta get that mind.
Exactly. If he does, you just gotta catch him and call him on. Hey man, don't you be mug me, man. We're still friends, dude.
You're being mean to me.
Don't do that, bro. Bro, you're doing it again, bro. You're like, oh, sorry, man. Sorry, I got caught up real quick. I caught up in the mean mug real quick.
Now that was a very real and a very private moment, but it just goes to show you how close these guys can get in a short amount of time. Going through these experiences together can really build a bond that can last a lifetime. Not with these two, but Jason even talks about his relationship with Roosevelt Roberts. They both got a mouthpiece on them. Those guys will probably be close for the rest of their lives. It's like me and Matt Serra. Hell, they may end up being like the Wish version of me and Matt Serra. All right, it is time for my favorite part of the show, the memes of the week. Let's have some fun here. All right, what do we got first? Powering the Christmas tree in Mississippi. Look at them with the jumper cables and the Christmas pants. This is how they do it in Mississippi. Jason Knight can tell you because it's Jason Knight the one doing it. That's how you powered up the Christmas tree in Mississippi. Oh my goodness, when you realize your team stinks. Look at these guys. Conor, your team stinks, bruh. It's not your fault though. Jason Knight trying to pitch Conor a new custom-made BJJ belt. Hey man, I got that gator. Only Conor can afford that. We know. My grandmama gave me that chain. Y'all know that from Friday. Look at him. My grandmama gave me that chain. Debo gonna get it. All right, me trying to hide behind my friend to avoid a high school classmate in Walmart. We've all done that before. You can't tell me I'm the only one who saw somebody in a Walmart and was like, let me get out of here. That's true. 7-year-old me walking with the boots to help mom get the groceries out the car. Remember when your mama used to have you go get the groceries out the car? You put on any old shoes just to get the groceries. You was like, stomping through. There you are right there. And lastly, Brazilians consoling the Mexican MMA community after UFC 290. Rough weekend for the Mexicans, Brandon Moreno and Yair Rodriguez. And the Brazilians consoling them with a smile on their face because they know, yeah, it's too bad because now we have a Brazilian champion in Alexander Pantoja. And those were the memes of the week. In case you forgot, Michael Chandler and Conor McGregor are supposed to fight sometime after the season ends. Now, Conor may not be in a rush to make that fight happen, but Michael is still keeping hope alive.
I'm a coach, but I also want to get my workouts. Conor hasn't agreed to anything yet. He hasn't agreed to a weight. He hasn't agreed to a date.
At some point when this calms down, watch McGregor.
You go.
Watch how he beats Anderson.
Yeah, he's also going to have some overblown confidence, thinking he's big and strong now. It's going to be very interesting when the matchup does happen, how his training is going, how he's going to adapt to being heavier. Maybe he's got more power in his punches. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe he's a little slower. Maybe he's a little bit faster. We don't know. I would anticipate him having a lot more catching up to do on adapting to his new size that he's put on compared to what I've been doing my entire career.
What do you normally get?
I mean, I'm usually 85 to 90. So when I'm like 72, I'm feeling, when I'm 70 to 72, yeah. But that's after.
So what is Conor walking around? 190 then?
He'll say 190. I think he's no more than 190. There's no way he's bigger than 190. I'm all for us fighting it whatever way we want to. He wants to fight at 185. He wants to fight at 170. I'm there. I don't want to cut to 155.
I think you should stay as possible. You know?
Well, we're fighting at 170. Hopefully.
It's 170.
Should be.
Okay.
It should be.
Let's do it.
Oh God, yeah. It's right where I want to be. Conor's built a brand based around money and material things. And ultimately, I'm going to be on top of him, raining down punches, and he's going to wish he could look down and see his Rolex, but there ain't going to be any time left.
Oh, it must be nice to have the entire MMA community at your mercy. Yes, that applies to Conor. But this fight happens because underneath those rough edges, Conor is a true martial artist and a competitor. He will never allow for his last time in the octagon to be his last memory. Now, I don't know when, and I don't know what weight, but I do know that fighters fight and that it's in his blood and he cannot hide from it, even if he does have enough money to disappear like LeBron James's hairline. Okay, next week we'll answer a lot of questions. Will Team Chandler make history with the first clean sweep in TUF history and make Conor go cry in one of his Lambos? Here's a look at what's to come on episode 8.
On the next episode of The Ultimate Fighter.
The power's in your back pocket. You have the power in your back pocket with those deals.
With only one quarterfinal fight left.
I'm the underdog. I like having the chip on my shoulder. Everybody.
Team McGregor pins their hopes on Boston strong Rico DeSciullo.
Yes! Yes!
I just got to work. That's it. I just got to stay busy, be smart, and just don't give him anything.
As he tries to prevent a historic sweep, going up against Chandler's #1 bantamweight, Hunter Azure.
I don't even care if I finish Rico. I just want to show him that he doesn't belong in there with me.
It's another supercharged matchup that ends in pandemonium at the Apex.
You know what I call you? Shut your day gone tomorrow. Team here today, gone tomorrow, yeah? I'll beat the out you, boy. I'll beat the out you.
Make sure you check out the next episode of The Ultimate Fighter Tuesday at 10 p.m. Eastern on ESPN, ESPN Plus. Then stick around for After TUF as we break down episode 8 on ESPN Plus, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. You do not want to miss this episode of After TUF. We are 7 weeks into this season and Conor's team still hasn't gotten a win. Part of me is actually beginning to feel sorry for him. Then when I think about what his bank account must look like, that feeling disappears faster than a chicken wing on a plate in front of Daniel Cormier. Conor's team is not winning and it's not really his fault. We can't expect him to be responsible for the success of these men after just a few short weeks. He inherited these guys because of what he did do. And that was bringing out and banking on his own guy, Lee Hammond, who fumbled the bag last week. Speaking of fumbling, I guess we can call Landon Butterfingers because he certainly fumbled. But Landon, it's okay. Making mistakes is a part of your growth. Every veteran on Team Chandler fumbled in their careers, which is exactly why they are on the show. And it's exactly why they are kicking y'all's asses right now. The pain of loss is incredibly motivating. Feels like watching your prom date go home with the dude she told you not to worry about while you're alone in a rented limo wearing a cheap tuxedo smelling like high karate. So will you let fumbling at the goal line keep you down? Or will it fuel that fire to get up and fight back? I'm Dean Thomas, and I'm not here to give you a problem. I'm just here to give you some tough love. Have a good night.